URC semi-final number 2, folks, and it's the Stormers who get it done with the last play of the game. A kick, a conversion, goes over and sends the Stormers through to the final. We got tries, we got a red card, we got Mike Adamson as the referee, and dramas. I watched this delayed this morning. It was on kind of early in the morning over here in New Zealand, so I slept through this one, but I've got up and watched it first thing. I didn't have any spoilers to the results, so thankfully I've got up and watched this one, and been pretty well entertained. It's another semi-final where it's pretty low scoring in the second half. It's been a weird kind of trend in that in multiple competitions this season. But anyway, we'll go through some key events and stats, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. I think you would say the Stormers certainly started the match sharper than the Ulster boys, which kind of makes sense. They're at home. The crowd's getting behind them. The crowd were really boisterous. Ulster guys have had to travel, so they're lacking the same level of sharpness that the Stormers boys have. I mean, I mentioned Mike Adamson at the start of the video. I don't usually go on about refs that much because I genuinely believe, for the most part, even if referees make mistakes, they generally, not always, but they generally kind of even out. I don't think any refs have generally got it in for any one team. They make mistakes just like players make mistakes. I can live with that, right? But Mike Adamson, I feel like he's the one guy. I used to have a kind of an issue with Ben Skeen, the TMO, because he was just so involved in things that he didn't need to be involved in. He used to drive me up the wall. Mike Adamson, tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm barking up the wrong bush. And as I said, we need referees to referee the games, otherwise we don't have a game. And like the adage about even when the referee's wrong, he's right. So you got to do what he says. I'm all for that, but I swear Mike Adamson is not a very good referee. Anyway, that's kind of highlighted. Maybe he's right and that he gets the decision right. But the Stormers have a maul. They go over the line. But the way he's seeing it, it's been chopped down short by the Ulster guys who he's going to give a penalty try. He's halfway to the posts to give the penalty try. Gets a call from his AR. Decides, okay, the AR's seen a grounding, so I'll go back and award the try to Kotze rather than a penalty try. You just don't usually see that stuff with other referees. Maybe other referees are too prideful to have the AR undermine their decision. Maybe others would go, bugger it, I've already called penalty try, I'm not going backwards. Maybe Mike Adamson is a better referee for the fact that he did listen to the call from his AR who had a grounding. But anyway, it's just a bizarre one, and I swear Mike Adamson is involved in more bizarre stuff than other referees, but maybe that's just me. As I said, if I'm talking nonsense, please call me out on that. But anyway, it's 5-0 because the Stormers missed the conversion, so they would have rathered the penalty try, and it probably would have been a yellow card to Ulster as well, but nothing doing there. And that all comes from Damian Willemse, who's back in the squad, winning a turnover early on. So happy days for the Stormers early. Ulster can't get stuff right. They kick the restart out on the full. They do get a turnover when Libbok decides to take on the Ulster midfielders with Senatla and Herschel Jantjies trying to help him clean out. That was a bad decision. He should have kicked the ball, but anyway, Ulster, when they had the line out from that penalty, didn't throw it straight. So nothing's really going Ulster's way early. And then it kind of goes from bad to worse when the Stormers, good to better for the Stormers guys, they go down the Ulster end. They got a line out. It looks like they're going to maul it. Herschel Jantjies snipes down the blind side with Roos in support. They draw the man, and Roos pretty much goes over untouched. Missed conversion again, but that's 10 points to 0 up. They're looking like, the dominant side. And that's when my son comes out of his bedroom, because it's morning. And remember, if you've followed this channel for any length of time, for whatever reason I can't explain, he's a big Stormers fan. I don't know. I swear I didn't brainwash him with Stormers stuff. I should be getting him behind the Blues. I try. But he comes out and he's like, oh, who's playing? Who scored? Because he just saw the try. And I'm like, the Stormers. And he, the look of joy on his face. It's unbelievable. When I told him the Blues made the Super Rugby final, he didn't have that level of joy on his face. Unbelievable. But anyway, he is absolutely wrapped in the fact that the Stormers have taken a 10-0 lead. But that being said, Ulster did start to come back into the game pretty much from there. Balakoon, he manages to get their first try. I did think the last pass looked a bit dodgy. It looked like it was forward. Balakoon's reaching for it forward. The angle seemed to be kind of forward out of the hands, but sometimes the camera angles can be deceptive. I accept that. Adamson said it was flat from his viewing, and the TMO confirmed it was flat, so it was flat. But yeah, I'm sure Stormers fans will say it was forward, Ulster fans will say it's flat. It's just one of those ones. But yeah, that was much needed. And Cooney kind of slipped when he was taking the conversion and he hits the post. So nobody's kicked any conversions yet. In a game like this, they're all costly. So 10 points to 5. Deon Fourie, I thought was everywhere. He's got a black eye, kind of not surprising. He gets his head into all kinds of places. But he's been rolling back the clock all season and he continued it. Like 1 point, Ulster put a little kick through. And then I think Burns regathered it and offload. And then Deon Fourie's there to put out that fire. So, gotta love Deon Fourie. He's having a cracking season. He kills out that Ulster play. But Ulster did manage to even up the score when Moore went over on 28 minutes. That one was Ulster going through some phases. And Ballacoon actually really made that try. He drew about 3 tacklers. And he's got that extra height advantage. Long arm. Is able to kind of basketball pass the ball away to set up the try. So he gets his try assist, one-handed pass, and yeah, they kicked that conversion. So Ulster go in front, 12 points to 10. The Stormers couldn't crack the Ulster defence before half-time to the point where Libbok was like, man, I need to get some points. So he opted for the droppy, but he missed it. So yeah, they do go into the sheds with a 5-point advantage, the Ulster boys, because they kick a penalty right before halftime. There was a line-out infringement. And to make matters worse for the Stormers, Zas has kind of gone off, and they had to bring on Masimla to replace him. So not really ideal given the season that Zas has had. He's not had much of a chance in this game. But for Ulster also, Ballacoon went off too. So two of the kind of key men for each side in terms of that explosive X factor, both of them go off, although Ballacoon's probably had more involvements in the game than Zas has. Second half, Ulster's maul does go close, but they knock it on after what was a kind of tough breakdown penalty on the Stormers. It's another one where the commentary team didn't like it either, but it's like they said that the Stormers guy was like the second guy when he was kind of the first arriving player at the ruck, because the first guy was the tackler. But anyway, yeah, the Ulster guys knocked it on, so there was kind of nothing doing there. Willemse wins another penalty at the breakdown. But when the Stormers need that kind of bit of go forward from the moment of winning that penalty at the breakdown, they kick the bloody thing dead. So not what you need. So you're finally getting some momentum back, and then it's gone. So kind of frustrating. The crowd was getting a little bit quiet at that point, and maybe a little bit, I don't want to say negative, but you know they were getting on the ref's case, which makes sense. And so were the Stormers players. They were having a few question marks to the ref, and he was essentially telling them to bugger off. But he was doing the same to the Ulster boys for the most part. There was a kind of weird moment though, where I'm not sure what the laws are. Someone will have to tell me, but I mean Henderson says he was eye gouged, and usually refs say I'll let the TMO check anything. Whenever they want the TMO to check stuff, he's done this, he's done that. He'll say the TMO is checking at the background, the TMO is checking in the background. That one, I'm not sure if there's a law about if it's eye gouging, whether the ref can kind of direct the TMO to go to have a look. But after telling everyone to bugger off the whole game when they're asking him to look for stuff, he did ask the TMO. They had a stoppage anyway, but he asked the TMO to go have a look for it. And it's Smith, the replacement, who had his hands around Henderson's face, which is honestly pretty dumb. Like, it's a maul. He's trying to disrupt what Hendo's doing. And he legit looks at him and puts his hands around his face. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, even though I don't think it's really an eye gouge, it's still the dumbest thing I saw that game. And there was a few dumb things I saw in that game, but that's by far the dumbest. Just don't do that. If you don't do that, you can't get into trouble. If you do that, you're putting yourself at the mercy of the refs. And they red card him. So, yeah, pretty dumb. So the Stormers, who are chasing the game, they're still 5 points down, are now going to have to play the final 10 minutes with 14 men. Really, really brain explosion dumb for mine. But that being said, the Stormers weren't done. I mean, they had a big maul that went close. Henderson, who just had his face almost eye gouged, had his pants pulled down, which was something he won't look back on with any kind of fondness. But Ulster managed to stop it just short of the line. They got a 5-minute scrum, chance to clear. Ulster get a line-out steal. in their own half on like 78 minutes. It looks like they're just going to get it done, man. They're going to hang on to this 5-point lead. But for some reason, like ever since maybe the red card, the Stormers guys have been really fired up. And they are knocking on the door for ages. The hooter goes. And unlike one of the Super Rugby games I watched yesterday, the Stormers, who were chasing the game with the clock on the red, they have the patience. They have the patience to just... I mean, the scrum faffs around for a long time, but they have the patience to kind of back themselves, to go through some phases, to back their ball carriers. And, eventually they get wide ball to Gelant. He goes over and scores pretty much untouched, although Madigan and I think it was Hume like fall on top of him, which he didn't appreciate, but nothing too kind of cynical. And I know sometimes guys get injured when they do that, but I've certainly seen worse than that one. But the conversion to come, it's a massive one, and Libbok has at this point missed 2 conversions and a droppy. And I think he's the one who put the touch finder out on the full as well. Like his boot has not been that accurate, so it's not a game where you would say like he's in the groove. But that one, he doesn't make a mistake. That's pretty incredible. That's a massive moment, and it means there's no extra time. The Stormers get it done. Like 85 minutes, man, plus the conversion, 14 men on the field. Pretty crazy stuff. Low scoring second half. 17-15 final. Run meters 402 to 184. The Stormers dominate there. Kicks from hand 17 to 28. Maybe the Ulster boys will be a little bit frustrated they kicked as much as they did towards the end of the game. It looked like they were trying to kind of hang on, and sometimes you just need to keep playing. The Stormers have got more possession, 57%, more territory, 61%. Clean breaks, though, is like 4-3, so pretty tight, despite the fact that Ulster didn't have as much ball. They generated almost as many clean breaks. Turnovers conceded 15-8, so the Stormers guys will be frustrated with how much pill they coughed up. Ulster, their defence was phenomenal, 90%, 130 tackles. That's a pretty good shift, even if they did concede that third try. 87% for the Stormers at 84 tackles, so more ball in hand, less tackles kind of makes sense. Penalties conceded, finishes 9 by the Stormers, 10 to Ulster, so actually kind of a pretty even split. So at least Adamson was balanced in that regard. Hume and McCloskey, in terms of their attacking power, were kind of kept relatively quiet. But I mean, McCloskey was a big unit on defence, 16 out of 17 tackles, wins a few turnovers. Balakoon, as I said, I'm pretty gutted he went off. He had a try assist in his kind of half a rugby plus. He had 4 runs for 33 metres, which in terms of effectiveness per carry is pretty bloody high. Gelant, 55 metres, a clean break and a defender beaten plus that try. Roos, along with his try, makes 10 from 10 tackles. Willemse wins a couple of turnovers. But yeah, all South African final. Who would have picked that at the start of the season? Probably not many. The Bulls will be flying back down. And we will see how the 2 South African teams go. Who are you guys backing for the final? Do you reckon the Stormers at home or the Bulls away? Remember, the South African teams of all the conferences had a really high rate of winning away from home this year. I think more teams won away in the interconference matches between the South African teams. Is that interconference? South African versus South African. I think the away teams had a better record than the home teams. So, we'll see how things go. I hope they open up the stadium fully. Be nice to see a sold-out crowd, but neutrals. If you're now a URC fan of a team other than the Stormers or the Bulls, like an Ulster fan or a Leinster fan or Munster or one of the Welsh teams, or who do you want to win? Do you not care? Stormers and Bulls. We will have a new champion of this new competition next week. I look forward to it. You guys let me know your thoughts, and yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.